day, and I feel so grateful that we get to celebrate this day, that we get to celebrate this occasion as citizens of India. And it has taken a lot of struggles and a lot of sacrifices in order for us to have a free land, to have a land of our own, and to be free of all of these oppressions that we were put under. And it has taken due determinants of all of our freedom struggles, all our nationalists, all our ancestors, and all of the people that lost their lives in this freedom struggle. And so we should be, and we are proud as Indians that we get to share this history, that we get to talk about it, and we get to talk about it with complete freedom and with complete peace and with complete comfort of this land which has provided us so much throughout the years, and it will continue to do so. And this is a video about me recommending all the books, not all, but the books that I have read and I want you to read as well, based on Indian independence and based on our struggles to attain this independence. So just stay tuned with me, just stick to me, and I'll recommend you books, and I really hope that you enjoy watching this video. And let's get into this video without any further delay. So the first book for today's recommendation is India's Struggle for Independence. Now I understand that this is a non-fiction book and it might take a lot of time to actually read it, and you might require to make notes and annotations in order to grasp the knowledge that this book has to share with you. But if you want to pick a book which will make you understand all of the things and all of the basic conflicts and all of the issues that happened that led to the independence of India in 1947, you have to pick this book up, because it deals with the revolt of 1857, like right from the revolt of 1857 and leading up to the India's independence in the 1947, and whatever happened in between that, like the Swadeshi movement, the peasant movement, the civil disobedience, and it discusses everything in vivid detail. It discusses the life of our nationalists, their freedom struggle, our ancestors, our freedom fighters, and what they did in order to give India its freedom, in order to free India of its oppressors. And I understand that a lot of things has happened before the revolt of 1857, and the actual incident which inspired people, that truly ignited within the people to take a stand for themselves, to participate in this freedom struggle, was that cartridge incident that happened. And it is because of that which started this freedom struggle in the first place. So if you want to read about that, you should definitely pick this book up. And I know that it's long, I know that it's non-fiction, but it definitely is worth it. It definitely is worth all the time that you will pay to read this book, because why not? It's about India, it's about how we achieve freedom. The second book that I want to talk to you about is The Land of Seven Rivers by Sanjeev Sanyal. Now he is an Indian economist, but first of all, let me just address that this book must have required a humongous amount of research in order to be written and in order to be published, because while reading it, I just realized that, you won't be able to find this much of an information in just 300 pages. Now it covers the history of India's geography, and the cover explains that itself, but while reading it, I just found the informations to be really interesting about India's geography and the history related to it. So I have made certain annotations while I was reading it, and I think you should have a look as well. Just look at it. Okay, I'll shuffle the pages. Can you see that? Yeah, so I'll just read some of my annotations, all of those things or the lines that I have highlighted, so that you can get a sort of insight into what this book is all about, and it might inspire you to pick it up and to read it. I mean, it's really good for research, and it's really good to understand our India's geography. And I'll read a few things. The Journal of Human Genetics, Aryan Influx, and wait a second, I'll just about the prehistoric times of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the genetic streams, mixture of genetic streams, about the Persian Gulf, the Rig Ved, Manu Smriti, about the genetic composition, about the Aryas, about the Bronze Age, about Ice Age, Neolithical Age, and there has, it's not just about geography. There's a lot that goes on behind it, and how India has progressed as a land. That is what this book is about the Harappan civilization. See, it's exploring history through the help of geography, and I would highly recommend this book because you can just find it in my annotations, right? Just look at it. And I would like to read something apart from the practical aspect attached to it. I found something really metaphorical, and I have written a perspective about it as well, and I would like to share that thought with you. I have noted it here in a sticky note, and I would like to read that. So here goes. Just a random philosophical thought. The rivers that are rain fed or depend on monsoons can't be the initial or the original river. The water that is being fed into it belongs to every other source on the planet. The rivers include every other river, ocean, pond, water from soil or trees. So to name a rain fed river on the basis of the flow or water becomes ambiguous. It is the dug up land nestling the river that should be named. So I as a person, I am very metaphorical. I like to read metaphors, and even if the person is not stating anything directly that it is a metaphor or indirectly speaking to me, I will for sure find a lot of things. So this is a non-fiction book, and I still found that metaphor present in this, and I wrote about it, and that is that. So stating it like it will only, looking at the cover or just judging the book by its name, one could deduce that it will talk about geography basically, but that will be a very shallow interpretation about the enormity of this book, and you should pick this book to find out. My annotations would have helped you to inspire you to pick this book up. I liked reading this book. And wait a second, I have one more book by him with me that I want to read, which is this one, The Incredible History of Indian Geography. I have not started reading this book as of now, but I intend to, and once I do, I will talk about this book as well. So just wait for the review and subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications of my video. Alright, let's just progress with the next book. So the next book, and it is very much predictable, so that I recommend it to you all, is The Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. Now this book was published in the year 1981, and believe you me when I say that you cannot not think about this book whenever we talk about Indian literature based on independence. This book is the story about a few children who were born at the exact time of independence at midnight hour and a little or before that. So all of these children are born with some special powers, and with that I would like to say that it is written with magical realism, which I wanted to state prior to talking about the plot. So yes, so it is written with magical realism, and it is through their journey, the journey or the life of these children, we get to read their perspective, and we get to explore through them we get to explore the themes of cultural, political and religious differences that existed during those time and that still exist in contemporary India, which is a very insightful read. And this book has won Booker Prize in the year 1981, the same year of its publication. It has also won the Booker of Booker's Prize as well, and I don't think that after giving this information I need to say anything more about this book, which is just enough in itself, and you should definitely read this book. You can either read it like really fast, or you can just take it slow, reading a few pages. It is all about the perspective that you have and the perspective that you carry while you're reading it. And I did not read it very fast. I was a bit slow while reading it because I like finding metaphors and I like reading magical realism. So I did that, and you can pick this book up. So I'll just move on to the next book. So the next book that I would like to recommend to you all is A Train to Pakistan by Kushwant Singh, and the other book that I want to recommend with the same genre is the Book of Everlasting Things by Aanchal Malhotra. Now I have a really beautiful book with this one. It's a hardcover and it is such a beautiful cover. Just look at it. And I have talked about both of these books so much. It is almost in every video that I have posted by so far as of now. And yeah, so this one particularly, A Train to Pakistan, is about the ground realities, how the conflicts happened, whatever the communal tensions were between the two factions that the society was divided during those times, and what all things happened, what all the incidents and events led to partition. And it is set in a fictional town of Manu Majra. Like there has been incidents when authors have developed a fictional town, created a fictional town of their own. So just like similar to that, it deals with Manu Majra, which is a fictional town which acts as a microcosm of all the communal tensions during those times, and it is a book about that. But even though this one is similar in themes, it also deals with partition. But the difference here is that it is more about emotions of people, what they left behind because of partition, what was left, क्या छूट गया, क्या रह गया हमसे, हमारी आइडेंटिटी कितनी चेंज हुई. एंड दिस बुक इज ऑल अबाउट दैट, अबाउट ट्रेसिंग इमोशंस, अबाउट द पीपल दैट वी लॉस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ इट. तो ये बुक उसके बारे में, दिस इज मोर अबाउट इमोशंस एंड दिस इज मोर अबाउट द रियलिटीज, द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स एंड हाउ इट इम्पैक्टेड पीपल, हाउ इट इम्पैक्टेड लाइफ and how much life we lost. So this one is about that, and this is more about emotions, and I really loved reading both of them. Both of these books are of the same theme, but there's a slight difference. If you are more about emotions, if you want to read the emotional impact that it created, read this book. If you want to read about the communal tensions and the realities that it imposed upon us, read this book. So these two, I really love them. I talk about it all the time. So the next book that I want to talk to you about is not one of my recommendations. ये मेरी मम्मी की recommendations list में से है, because while I was talking to her that I want to make a video, a book recommendation video upon Independence Day, she asked me to recommend this book to you all. She asked me to include this book in this video, and I completely trust her recommendation because she is the only one who got me into the world of reading. She is the only one who actually persuaded me, forced me to pick a book up. And while we were traveling one time, she got me a book from the railway kiosk and she forced me to read it. She asked me to underline all the words that I didn't understand, which I find so funny when I look back and I see all those highlighted words. So yeah, coming back to the book, which is Tamas by Bhishma Sahani. Now this book is also based on partition, and I have also talked about two books previously. I mean, just before talking about this book, I have talked about A Train to Pakistan and the Book of Everlasting Things by Aanchal Malhotra. But both of those books, even though all of these three books deal with the same theme of partition of India and Pakistan, but there are very different, I mean there is a very vivid difference between all of these three books, because the Book of Everlasting Things deals with emotions, how people were emotionally impacted because of this partition. A Train to Pakistan deals with the conflicts and deals with the ground realities, but not as vividly as this book does. इस किताब में pictures or images इतनी strongly created हैं that you will not be able to stop yourself from crying while you read this book. It is a bit about emotions. Obviously there will be emotions whenever we talk about partition. Obviously it will exist, but not as much as in the previous books. This book is more about how the communal tensions got built up, how the things happened, what led to partition. It is more about that. It is more about how those conflicts created an impact on people, how people's lives were lost. It is more about that. And do you know what it majorly covers? Matlab, the communal tensions, they are not happening on their own. एक पर्दे के पीछे कुछ लोग बैठे हैं and they are the people who are making all these communal tensions or communal conflicts take place. In reality, someone else is doing it, but it is the mind of someone else. तो उस समय लोगों की सूझबूझ, सोचने की, समझने की शक्ति पूरी खो चुकी थी. They were completely lost. They were not able to think clearly, and that is why it was so easy to manipulate people and so easy to get things done. और इस किताब में उसी के बारे में चर्चा की गई है. नाउ दिस बुक हैज़ बिन ट्रांसलेटेड इनटू इंग्लिश एज वेल बाय द सेम ऑथर. इसके एक अडेप्टेशन भी है एज अ टीवी सीरीज. सो वट एवर यू प्रेफर, be it the TV series, be it the English translation, or this original publication of this book, you should read it. And do you know why it has created such an impact? It is one of the greatest novel written on partition. This book has won the Sahitya Academy Award as well, and the impact which is being created in the mind of readers is because of one reason, because Bhishma Sahani, when he was 11 to 12 years old, he experienced or witnessed the communal tensions or the conflicts happening from his own eyes, and it was the first time. So just imagine an 11 to 12-year-old child witnessing all those things. So it is from his own life experiences that he has written this book, and you should definitely read this. I read it based on her recommendation, and passing it on to you. You should read it as well. If you have not as of now, you should definitely read this book. Whatever you prefer, Hindi, English or TV series, whatever it is you prefer. तो इस सीरियस माहौल को अब थोड़ा सा लाइट करते हैं, एंड आई वांट टू टॉक टू यू अबाउट अ बुक विच आई रेड एज अ सेकेंड बुक इन माई लाइफ. दैट वाज अ सेकेंड रीड ऑफ माई लाइफ, and the first autobiographical book that I have read, which is Wings of Fire by APJ Abdul Kalam. And I cannot begin to tell you how influenced I was after reading this book, how this book impacted me in so many manners. It has inspired me to work hard, to put efforts into my work, and to have goals, and to dream about and to have a dream and to work for it. And I read this book very early, not very early, but I read this book early as a reader, and I'm so glad that I did so, and I would recommend it to you all. It has so many pictures as well. Just look at the graphics. I'll show you. Yeah, wait. About Abdul Kalam, and this one is with his team. I really enjoyed reading this book. I was so inspired while I read this book, and you cannot explain what it talks about. It talks about the entire life of Abdul Kalam, how he struggled while he was a child, reading it, working as well, as a newspaper seller. He worked and he also read, he educated himself, and that is what it is, his entire journey, and it is so inspirational. You should definitely read this book. And if you are a beginner, and if you are a child who is watching this video, if any parents are watching this video, do give this book to your child, and ask your children to read this book. It will be very inspiring for them. His journey is very inspiring. The last book that I would like to recommend for today's video is The Flavors of Spices. I have not read this book. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. I have not read this book, but I have heard so much about this book that I definitely want to read it for sure. I want to read almost every book that has been written, but I want to read this book this year itself. And it talks about flavors and food, the food that connects all of us together, that connects every Indian. We love our food, we love our culture, and you know what it majorly discusses is that food is, I mean, Indian food is not all about spices. I mean, it is not about tikha khana ya khatta khana ya chatpata khana. It is not about that. There is a lot of detailing that goes into the preparation of food. Khana banana is an art, and I don't understand it completely. I cook, I like to cook, but I don't understand the detailing that goes into cooking, not as much as my mother would, or not as much as other people would. But yeah, in order to understand that, in order to truly understand what spices is all about, what the mix of spices that is required to create in order to make the food with, that delicious thing that you won't even ever be able to forget once you taste it, is what has been stated in this book. And I have heard so much about it that I want to read this book, and I want to recommend it because I have heard so much about it. And definitely once I read this book, I'm going to talk about it, and I will share that as well on this platform. So yeah, stay tuned for future videos, for upcoming videos. So these are the books that I have recommended in today's video, and if I have inspired you to pick any of these books, please share that with me in the comments. And if you have read any of these books before, do share your perspective, your insights on the book as well. I would love to read that. It will make me so happy that you have read this book as well and you are sharing your insights with me. We are discussing about it. So please do that. And if you liked watching this video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. No worries. Just stay happy. Take pride as an Indian, and wish you all a very happy Independence Day again.